colors. And the color is not gold. It's not gold. Contrary to what men seem to think, it's not gold. Did she... He was completely not in support of anybody. And he seems to have crossed over that bridge and gotten into this here. I don't...
Can you spell your name for the record? I do. My name is William McDonald.
I agree, Kathy. Again. She has nothing to lose, though. But they should at least have to protect the witnesses that are going to speak out against her. How is this justice? He didn't. He seemed totally
Please
disconnected.
introduce yourself to the jury.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is William McDonald.
Hi, William.
I am a retired police officer with the City of Chandler.
Thank you for your service.
What are you currently doing?
I am currently teaching criminal justice at Williams Field High School in Gilbert, Arizona.
So you told us you previously worked for the Chandler Police Department. How long were you with them?
I was with the Chandler Police Department for approximately 22 years. I'm sorry.
At what cost, though? At what cost? That's the only thing. It's like, at what cost? I don't see how he doesn't understand the cost of letting her possibly make herself look bad, or possibly whether or not it's possibly appeal win for the future. It's at the cost. And she did the same thing to her brother and to the other witnesses.
26 years.
That's why I said at what cost.
When did you retire?
I retired in November of 2022.
Okay. Can you tell us what your different jobs were at the Chandler Police Department?
As with all officers with the Chandler Police Department, I started off in patrol. I worked a patrol position for about 18 months. After which, I switched over to more of a community services team. I spent 2 years with that team, after which I transferred to detectives and spent the remainder of my career in detectives, working primarily internet crimes against children and digital forensics.
It's almost like they said you were complaining because the witness was giving you palpitations. Now we got one to slow it down for you.
Can you talk to us about specifically your training and education relating to extractions of cell phones?
When it comes to cell phones, I have extensive training in the use of the software that we use to extract that data. I am certified in the use of the Celebrite suite, which is one of the primary tools that we would use to extract data and organize data extracted from the cell phones. I was also trained, although they did not have a certification process, in several other platforms used with cell phones.
Did you ever go to any type of digital evidence examiner courses?
Absolutely. Beginning in 2001, when I began working digital forensics, I attended numerous courses on digital forensics, hundreds of hours worth of training, and I hold several certifications in digital forensics related to computers and, as previously discussed, cell phones.
So by 2019, what were your duties at that time at the Chandler Police Department?
By 2019, my primary duties were to conduct digital forensics examinations on computers and cell phones. I was also responsible for training new members to the computer crimes unit, in addition to assisting with internet crimes against children investigations.
In your role, were you regularly asked then to examine cell phones and try to extract data from them?
Yes, I was.
Can you talk us through, if you are handed a cell phone, what do you do?
Once we received the cell phone, and we would usually be given additional information at the time, usually from the case agent or the investigating detective, such as if there was a search warrant involved or anything like that, we would review the search warrant, make sure we had legal authority to do whatever it was they were asking us to do. We would then obtain the cell phone or whatever item we wanted to examine. My process was to start by taking pictures of the phone or the device prior to removing it from any evidence packaging. Once those pictures were taken, I would remove the cell phone from the packaging, take additional pictures to document condition of the device. Once the pictures were taken, I would attempt to power on the device to make sure that it had been placed in airplane mode, which would prevent any additional changes being made or outside people being able to access the device to make changes while it was in our possession. If it was in airplane mode, I would then attach it to whatever piece of software or hardware we were going to use to copy or extract the information from the phone. Once that process completed, which you would usually create just a single file, which for most of us would be meaningless. It was just a container file. And by a container file, I mean a file similar to, if you think like a box. The container file is the box. Initially, that box is empty, and we can put additional files inside of it. These container files would then be entered into, usually we would use the Celebrite software, as we did in this case. Mm-hmm. And that software would kind of go through the box and put everything in an organized manner, a manner in which people could read it and make sense of what that information was. We would then create a report, which we would provide to the case agents. And that would pretty much conclude our involvement. We would finalize everything by taking everything that we created, all of our files, all of our reports, notes, pictures, everything, and we would store them on an archive server at the Chandler Police Department.
Mercedes, that was so random.
All right, I'm going to go through a couple different words you said and have you explain them for us, all right?
Certainly.
So starting with first, extraction. What does that mean?
Simply put, extraction means we are copying the information on the phone to another device, say a thumb drive or another hard drive or something that we have prepared forensically, which means it contains no data.
So when we're talking about extraction from, say, a phone, you're copying contact lists and text messages and photos and emails or search histories, anything that we have on our cell phone.
Correct.
Can extraction of a cell phone include GPS or locating data?
It can.
When you have extracted this, you talked about it not being in a format that people can understand. Can you talk to us just a little bit more about that?
So essentially these single files, when we have copied or extracted the information from the cell phone, it creates this single container file where all of the information is in there. That information is in the form of database files, other proprietary type files that without appropriate software or specific software to actually be able to read that information, it would be extremely difficult to piece it back together manually.
And so that's what you said, the Cellbrite software helps to put that in a way that we can read it?
That is correct.
So when you use the Cellbrite system, does that put the data together, like all of the text messages are now together and all of the emails are now together?
Yes, ma'am.
Rather than just being jumbled everywhere, basically.
Correct. It will put text lines together. It will extract date and time information. As you mentioned previously, it can extract GPS and location information. It will extract pictures, and it puts all of those together so that like items are together.
Are you responsible for reviewing or analyzing whatever it is that you extract?
No.
Are you solely responsible for trying to extract the data from a phone, ensuring that that process goes correctly and that it is then parsed into data that lay people can read?
Yes, ma'am. When we extract the data from phones or computers or whatever digital medium we're working with, we follow forensically sound procedures to ensure that that data is not changed at any point along the process.
And so you said you also keep the original data file that you extract in a server so that if anyone wants to look at that, they can do that again?
Correct.
And then the phone itself, does it alter the phone in any way when you do this process? Is it blank after that?
Our process should not change any of the information on the phone. However, with cell phones, because they do need to be on during this process, some system files can change.
So it could add more data to it potentially?
Potentially, yes.
All right, so on July 16th of 2019, did you receive a request from a detective in Clan to examine an Apple iPhone that was impounded as item CH131035? And if I can have my paralegal approach with Exhibit 245.
Thank you. Yes, this is consistent with the item I received.
Were you provided with a PIN to access that phone?
We were.
Okay. And what was the PIN you were provided to access that phone?
The PIN was 0000.
All right, pretty easy to remember. And you can bring that back. What day did you begin the extraction process?
I believe, if I recall correctly, it was July 17th.
So the next day.
Yes, ma'am.
You told us that you first get the phone and you are both documenting it and sort of noting it. I'm going to show you, and if I can have my paralegal approach with Exhibits 180 through 185 that have been shown to defense counsel. Are you familiar with those photographs?
Yes, these are consistent with the types of photographs that I would take.
And those related to this review of this cell phone 245.
Yes.
State will move to admit 180 through 185.
Any objection?
No objection.
180 through 185 right then.
If I can have the Elmo, thank you. Why do you take photos of the phone as you're processing it?
Primarily, we take photos of the phone to document condition. I will also take photographs of the item while it is still in the evidence packaging to document how it was packaged and if there are any evidence seals, what the condition of those seals are.
All right. So in this, when we talked about a item number, is that what we were talking about, the CH131035?
Correct.
Okay. That's Exhibit 180 and 181. What are we seeing here?
That is a photograph of the front screen of what appears to be an iPhone X, I believe, or XS Max.
So
I'm sorry.
you get this phone, and I put 182. It's turned off initially when you get it.
In this case, this particular phone was powered on when I received it.
Okay, but the screen was blank, but still it was powered on.
Correct.
Was it in airplane mode, and why does that matter?
Yes, it was in airplane mode, and you can see that from looking at the upper right-hand corner of the phone screen where it's got the little airplane icon. And this is important because while a phone is in airplane mode, it will prevent outside sources from connecting in and prevent the phone from connecting to the cellular network or to any wireless networks, which will help secure the data that's on the phone to prevent any changes or from anybody from the outside accessing the device.
Do you check when you get a phone like this to see if there's a SIM card in there?
I do.
What is a SIM card?
A SIM card is a subscriber, it's short for subscriber identity module, and it's basically a little card that's inside the phone that holds certain subscriber information. It can hold contact lists. It can actually hold a great deal of miscellaneous information. We always check for the SIM card as a means to make sure that this phone is actually able to connect to a cellular network.
Did you see one here?
I did.
And then do you also check to see if there's enough battery power?
Absolutely.
What do you do if there's not?
If we receive a phone that is either powered, has low power, or is actually the battery is completely dead, we will connect it to a power source to recharge the battery. The processes that we do required the phone to be able to be powered on, so we needed a charged battery.
All right, so in 183, you are able to get to where you would normally put in a passcode. Do you sometimes not have passcodes?
I have no
Absolutely.
idea.
Is it easier when you do?
Much easier.
So did you try the 000 here?
We did.
0, I think I left one out. Were you able to get into the phone?
We were.
184, why do you take a photo of that?
We're just documenting what is visible on the screens, what icons, what applications are installed on the phone.
So you're seeing that there have been phone calls that have been missed and mail that's
Correct.
going on. And then 185, what is the relevance of this? What does this tell us?
That is simply information on the phone itself. What you are looking at, if it were able to connect to a network, you would see the network information there. This is obviously a phone that was associated with the Verizon cellular network. The IMEI and the ICCID and MEID are identifiers for the cellular networks. The network, the carrier, and all of that information is just to help identify the device.
Okay. And so that is able to be confirmed when you look at the phone itself, 245?
Correct.
So in this case, after you got this
Thank you.
powered up, what'd you do and took those photographs, documenting what you're doing, what'd you do?
Once we had taken the photographs, we'd ensured everything, the phone was in airplane mode. In this particular case, I used a device called a gray key device. I attached the phone to this gray key device and configured it to conduct what is called a full file system extraction of the iPhone. A full file system extraction is pretty much the best copy that we can make. It copies all the data off the phone, including anything in deleted space, any user files, any system files. It pretty much copies everything that's on the phone for us to examine later.
Okay. Now, does technology continue to improve in our world?
All the time.
Thank you for the
So
follow.
you did this in 2019, right?
Correct.
So whatever the newer technology is not the same as what it may have been back then.
That would be fair to say, yes.
In terms of technology, have you seen changes in Gray Key and Celebrite over the years that you were using it?
I did.
And as each new version came out, did that ever cause you to find that data was wrongly recovered, or just that there was more data recovered?
In my experience, I never observed that changes in the software, updates to the software, would result in previously found data being changed or omitted or deleted or in anything like that. What we would find is it would change the format and how that information was presented. On occasion, as things really did change and bigger versions came out, sometimes it would have the capability to acquire additional information that maybe it could not acquire prior.
So maybe it was better at finding deleted items or parsing things together.
Correct.
Okay. Do you recall about how long that process took to use the Gray Key to extract that full file system?
As I recall, it was approximately 1 hour.
So after you use the Gray Key, is that where sort of everything's jumbled in a box?
Correct. That's the Gray Key created that single container file with everything from the phone inside of it.
So did you use something else at that point to allow detectives and other people to be able to access and look for specific things?
I did. Once we had that single container file, I took that file and I opened it up in a program called Celebrite Physical Analyzer. That physical analyzer software is what went through that container file and put everything in a more readable format for detectives or whoever else needed to view the contents of the phone.
Thank you for the follow.
So that then allowed detectives or others to go into this new report that allowed you to look at a section that had just photos or a section that just had emails.
Correct.
After you used that Celebrite to parse out all that data into these different sections, did you conduct any research on that phone? Or
I did not.
did you look through any of that Celebrite
Good.
report?
I did not.
Did you analyze or review any of the data?
I did not.
Did you provide the detectives who then had been working on the case with that to review themselves?
What we would do, since the Celebrite Physical Analyzer software was very expensive and actually required a key in order to
Thank you,
use,
Kelly.
the Celebrite software allowed us to create what we refer to as a reader file, which is a file that they can open in a program called Celebrite Reader, happily enough, and that would allow them to review the data in a free software platform.
So as long as you had the reader, you could then go through all the data that the Celebrite had parsed into these readable formats or
Correct.
sections.
Anything that was included in, when I imported the file or uploaded the file into the physical analyzer software, any information that was in the physical analyzer software was copied and included in the reader file.
Did that end your involvement with Exhibit 245, that phone?
I'm sorry, one more time?
Did that end your involvement with Exhibit 245, that iPhone?
Aside from making sure that any files that we created, any pictures that were taken were securely stored, it did.
All right, thank you. I have no other questions.
Cross?
Questions, Your Honor?
I'm sorry, did you say no questions?
No questions.
All right. Any questions from any member of the jury? I see at least one, okay.
In the state of Arizona, after each witness, the jury, if they have a question, they can write it down. And before the person that's on the stand is released, they can ask their question, and they have one, so they're passing them down now. I'm surprised too, honestly. I don't find it funny that the only time Lori has not, she's chosen to speak at opportune times, 100%. She has a prerogative here. Yeah, it's for that state. I wish all states had that, to be 100% honest. I think it would be a lot more enlightening and the best transparent way to communicate,
The question is, if someone were to delete their browser history, can you still pull the history?
On occasion. Browser history and any internet data like that, especially on cell phones, over time, if it's been deleted, it can be overwritten. However, if it is more recent, and sometimes by recent, we are actually talking within the last year or so, that information, regardless of it being deleted, can be recovered by the software.
I haven't heard anything about that, Regina.
Follow up from the defense based on that question?
I agree.
State.
I agree.
All right, sir, you can step down. Thank you.
Thank you.
State can call its next witness.
Thank you.
Did you hear that somewhere? Jamie, are you in here? Wait, I forgot my question. Is there court tomorrow? You said that they don't have it on Fridays there? Okay. If anybody could find a source for me for what Regina just typed, inquiring minds, we all have to know. So the state did not release all text messages to Lori. So now they might have court tomorrow.
State calls Marissa Francisco.
Do they have court on Saturday and Sunday?
All right, ma'am, you're going to come right up, stand right in front of
Thank you.
the wall here, right here.
3-day weekends.
Please spell your name for the record. Yes, Marissa Francisco, M-A-R-R-I-S-A, last name F-R-A-N-C-I-S-C. You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yes, I do.
All right, you're going to walk around the court reporter. Have a seat just to my left here.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Yes, my name is Marissa Francisco, and I am a forensic scientist with the City of Chandler in the Forensic Services section.
How long have you worked there?
I have worked there since August of 2018. Previous to that, I was employed at the Arizona Department of Public Safety, and I started there in 2004.
So let's kind of go back. What did you do at the Department of Public Safety, DPS?
I started my career in the blood alcohol unit. So my duty there was to test blood for the presence of alcohol. I was in that unit for about 7 years. After that, I transferred to the trace evidence unit, where I was trained to do hair comparisons and fiber comparisons. After that, about 2016, 2017, I started training in the latent print unit. In August 2018, I completed my training at the City of Chandler and have been doing latent print analysis primarily at the City of
I
Chandler.
bet you this is about the bat.
Can you tell us the
I am.
training
How are you?
and your education to be a latent print analyst?
Yes, I have a Bachelor's of Science in Biochemistry from the University of California at Los Angeles and a Master's of Science in Forensic Science from the University of Illinois at Chicago. As part of my training for latent prints, it was an extensive 1.5 year long program where there was readings, lectures, comparison exercises, oral boards, and a competency test. I also have to conduct and complete a proficiency test on latent print comparisons on an annual basis. I am also a certified latent print examiner. In order to obtain the certification, I had to complete over 160 hours of certified training and pass a comprehensive exam.
Thank you. I'm going to start sort of really general. Can you tell us what latent prints are?
Yes,
Thank you, Regina.
latent by definition is something that is present but not visible. So a latent print is an impression of friction-ridge detail that is not readily visible. Some processing techniques that can be chemical or physical are needed to help visualize those latent prints.
Thank you for the following me.
So we talk about latent prints, we're thinking of people's fingers. Where do we find latent prints on people?
Yes, let me start with defining what friction-ridge skin is. Friction-ridge skin are raised ridges on the palms of our hands and the soles of our feet. They are specialized and only located in those two areas. We often have oils and sweat and other residues on our hands, and when we touch an item, we can leave an impression of our friction-ridge detail on that item.
Is that what most of us call latent prints, or I left a print behind?
Yes, fingerprints.
You started to talk about oils and things. Do people always leave behind a print if they touch an object?
It actually depends on a lot of different things. First off, the amount of oils and residues on our hands will determine whether an impression is left. Also, the deposition pressure, meaning are we gently tapping on something or are we like really pushing down on it? That will affect whether an impression is left and the quality of that print. The item itself is very important. Is it something that is receptive to prints? Items that are smooth, like glass, I am more likely to find a print on an item like that versus something that is textured and rough, like a cinder block. I would not expect to find a latent print on a cinder block. The condition of the item is also important. How many people may have come in contact with that item. All these different things affect whether an impression is left and the quality of that impression. We can very simply think of a stamp, our fingers being the stamps, the oils being the ink, and depending on how the stamp is placed on different items will determine how that impression looks.
She has my respect.
Can environment also impact the quality of or whether or not a print remains?
Yes, the environment is also important. After a print is left, is it left out to the conditions of rain, or does it get wet? Is there a dust storm? Is it in an area that it has high traffic? Like if a fingerprint is left on a door to a convenience store and 100 people go through there that day, impressions are left, but if I lift those prints, I might not be able to identify them because there are so many prints on top of each other.
And so that goes to the next thing. So are prints something that once you make it, it's permanent and there forever?
It is there until it is disturbed, so it can be there forever.
Can we wipe them away?
Yes,
Can they be smudged away?
they can, yes.
So can someone rubbing an object, like a smooth object, get rid of that?
Yes.
What about it, Kathy?
Are there different ways or different processes that you use to obtain latent prints or friction-rich detail off of an object?
Yes, there are. First off, I want to define what a non-porous item is. A non-porous item is an item where water or air cannot pass through it. So when I first receive an item, I determine whether it is porous or non-porous, because depending on that, I will use different processing techniques.
So for a non-porous
I bet you she won't
item,
either.
what processes do you use to try to find friction-rich detail?
Yes. On non-porous items, the main processing technique that I use is called cyanoacrylate fuming, more commonly known as superglue fuming. So items are
100%.
exposed to superglue fumes, and the fumes react to any oils and sweat in the latent print, creating a white visible print that is not readily destroyed.
So you've looked at the non-porous item. You don't see any prints on. Do you look visually first?
Yes, sorry. The very first thing we do is I look at the request sheet and see what items are needing to be tested in that case. And also I look to see what the requesting officer wants done with the case. Sometimes they are requesting
Renee.
that the item be swabbed for DNA. If an item is requested to be swabbed for DNA, I have to use clean techniques to help reduce and limit contamination. So clean techniques are when I bleach down all surfaces with bleach. I lay down a clean butcher paper. I use sterile equipment. I'm only analyzing and working with one item at a time, and I'm changing gloves between items to help prevent contamination. So if a request sheet requests DNA evidence, I will have to use clean techniques before I swab the item for DNA. After that, I will do a visual examination of the item. Before any processing techniques are conducted, I will take a flashlight and look at the item to see if I can see any latent prints with a flashlight. If I can see a visible print at this point, depending on the quality of that print, I will take a picture or lift that latent before I move on to any processes. So after each processing technique, I will have to document what I find with either photography, scanning on a scanner, or lifting with powder.
So you talked about photographing these latent prints. How do you do that? Like how do you take a photograph of that to ensure it's the right size or shape or whatever, so you can later use it for a comparison?
Yes, I have training and experience in taking photographs. So in the photograph, I have to have a scale in it. So I have a scale with the case number, and I am just trained to properly use the lighting I need, adjust the lighting, focus it correctly, have it level with the lens of the camera, and I take a picture and document where on the item the photograph was taken.
So how do you just told us you document where on the item the picture was taken. How do you do that so that you can later go back and say it's in the middle of a mirror or whatever it might be?
Yes, I try to be as clear and concise as possible, because like I said, I have to take a picture after every single step. So I have to take a picture if there is any latent print of the visible step. And then if I go on to doing the super glue fuming, I have to take a picture of that same latent. If I go on to another process called dye staining, which we apply our fluorescent dye to even better visualize the image, I have to take that same latent again. So it helps me out to be able to go to find that latent. So I try to be specific on where that latent was found.
Do you, when you are processing a non-porous item and you find what I'll call a partial print or something that looks like friction-ridge detail,
Yes,
do you
please.
collect it, or do you say right then and there, I don't think that would be useful?
Yes. So when I am examining an item, at that stage, my conclusions are either no latents observed, meaning I didn't see any friction-ridge detail at all, no value latents, meaning I did see some friction-ridge detail, but I don't believe that I can do anything or compare them at a later point, or latents for analysis. So if I find sufficient, clear, latent print detail, I will take a picture of it. If I'm not sure, I go ahead and take a picture of it, because at this point, I am not really determining whether the print is identifiable. I am just saying that I'm taking this picture and I want to do further analysis on it at a later point.
So then for the analysis, are you then, after you process an item and you recover any latent prints that may be useful or which are you later asked to ever compare those recovered prints to known prints?
Yes.
What do we mean by a known print?
Yes. So a known print is known fingerprints that are collected from an individual. They're typically recorded electronically or with ink. So in my comparisons, I am always comparing a latent impression that was recovered or developed versus a exemplar, and I'm trying to determine whether or not the latent could have originated from that exemplar, or whether or not those two impressions could have been made by the same individual.
Can you tell us briefly, when you are looking at this recovered latent print and comparing it to a known, what are you looking for to be able to make an identification?
I will explain what methodology we use for latent print comparisons. It is called ACE-V, which stands for Analysis, Comparison, Evaluation, and Verification. So in the analysis phase, I'm taking assessment of the latent and the exemplar and determining whether or not they are suitable for comparison. If I determine they are suitable for comparison, I move on to the comparison phase. This is when I'm observing two impressions and I'm looking for the existence of similarities, differences, or discrepancies. Next is the evaluation phase. At this point, I am rendering a conclusion based on my analysis and comparison. The three different conclusions that can be reached are identification, exclusion, and inconclusive. So identification is the determination that the two impressions originated from the same person. Exclusion is the determination that the two impressions, the latent and the known, were not created by the same individual or they do not have the same source. Lastly, I have a conclusion of inconclusive, and this is where I can neither identify nor exclude the individual from having made the print. So going back to analysis, during the analysis phase, I am looking at a lot of different things. First off, I'm trying to determine, is the print from a finger or is it from part of the palm? And also I'm determining the orientation of the print. If it's from the palm, I can also, depending on the ridge flow in the latent print, I can determine what area of the palm it came from. I'm looking at the shape of the impression. Like sometimes you have like a C-shaped impression, and that's this part of the palm. So this is called the writer's palm, and that's where I would look first when I'm doing a comparison. So besides that, I am looking at level 1, level 2, and level 3 detail. Level 1 detail is the actual flow or pattern of the ridges. Our fingers have 3 main patterns, which are loops, whorls, and arches.
I agree.
Next, I'm looking at second level detail. I'm looking at the ridge characteristics. So I'm looking at where the ridges end, which we call ridge endings. I'm examining where ridges split into 2 ridges, which are called bifurcations. And I'm marking any dots, which are very short ridges. So I'm examining the latent and I'm marking up all these second level details so that I can later compare to the exemplar. I'm also noting if there's any scars present in the latent. I'm noting if there's some creases or if there are issues with the deposition pressure or if there seems to be some movement in the latent. I'm documenting all of that stuff in the analysis phase of my analysis.
I bet you it's the bat. I bet you guys. I just, with the detail she's going into, it has to be. Yep, it's the bat.
You recognize Exhibit 249 as an item that you were provided and asked to process to see if you could recover any latent prints or friction ridge detail. Sorry. It's a little awkward.
It's the bat.
Yes, I do recognize this item.
And were you provided with that Exhibit 249, that bat, and asked to try to recover any latent prints from that bat?
Yes, I was.
Can you tell us, in this Exhibit 249, what did you do to attempt to recover any, and did you recover any latent prints?
Yes. On the request, it was also requested that I process the item with clean techniques because it was also requested that I swab the item for DNA. So I already went through that process and explained that. So I used clean techniques to process this item. And the very first thing I did when I opened up the packaging was I swabbed the textured grip for potential DNA. The reason I swabbed the grip first is because of the texture on that grip, I would not expect to find latent prints on the grip. So I didn't feel that I was potentially ruining any prints because I don't feel that there would be fingerprints on that textured grip. So that was the very first thing I did. And then I did a visual examination of the bat with a flashlight to see if there were any visible prints at that point. And I don't believe there were, but I would have to check my notes.
you did find anything there.
Yes,
Do you have your notes up with you?
yes.
If you want to take a look at those and then let us know when you're done if that was refreshed recollection.
Could you guys literally imagine if it came back that not Charles or Tylee? She's gonna question if it was Tylee. When Lori gets to questioning for this, she will have questions because it's my opinion she wants to say that it was Tylee that was bringing the bat to which is the story. But again, look what she did last time.
Refresh your recollection.
Yes, so at
Me
the
too.
visible stage, my conclusion was that there were no latents observed at the visual stage.
I'm going to put Exhibit 35 up here just so that we can all kind of see what we're talking about. So the gripped part here is what you were talking about that you swabbed because you did not believe that prints would be recoverable on that texture that was on bat.
Correct.
Okay. So then you visually look, you don't observe any latent prints or friction ridge detail.
Correct.
What did you do next?
I then used a processing technique of superglue fuming.
And when you used that process, did you locate or recover any latent prints or friction ridge detail?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell us how many and where?
Yes, I recovered two impressions that I took pictures of, and I would have to look at my notes to refresh where they were collected from.
If looking at your notes would help refresh as to where you located those, please do so and then let us know when you've been refreshed.
I don't know, guys. This could be a big moment. For one or two reasons.
Where did you locate those two?
The first one was recovered in the W of the Rawlings that was above the diameter. I think Rawlings is also on the other side. So that's why I stated that it was the one that was right above where the diameter is. And the second one was recovered in between the G and the diameter.
Now, you told us that what you are recovering doesn't always look like a finger, right? When you were recovering these latent prints, were you able to tell by just recovering them if it was a finger or, like you told us, a palm? When you looked at it, were you able to immediately identify where they came from?
They appeared to be fingerprints.
Was there anything about the shape or, I guess, the shape of them that made you think that they were fingerprints?
The first image, it was just the shape of the impression just indicated to me that it was a fingerprint. The size of it indicated to me that it was a fingerprint.
Was the other one, the second print, slightly, I guess, not as clear on whether or not it was a fingerprint or potentially from some other area?
Correct.
Were you asked to then compare those two? Well, let me ask you, when you obtained these two, you told us there were 3 different levels. Obviously, you collected something. Did you believe these were able to make identifications, or what did you determine about the clarity, the detail of those 2 recovered prints?
For both impressions, in my analysis, I determined that both impressions were NVID, which stands for no value for identification. This means that the latents lack sufficient clarity, quantity, or uniqueness to identify, but may be suitable for exclusion. So the impressions were possibly excludable, but I would not be able to identify who made those impressions.
So were you initially asked to try to identify them to 3 individuals?
Yes, I was first asked to compare the 2 impressions to 3 individuals.
And who were those 3 individuals?
Could I look at my notes, please?
Yes, if that would help refresh your recollection.
I don't like where this is going. I have a bad feeling about this part.
Yes, I was initially asked to compare the 3 impressions to a Charles Vallow, a Lori Vallow, and an Alexander Cox.
Okay.
So you told us, though, they were of no value for identification. So did that sort of end that request?
Yes, so when there is only prints that are determined to be no value for identification, we routinely do not compare those prints, but we say, if you still want us to compare it to anyone, please let us know. But initially, we are not going to try to compare NVID prints to any individual because they cannot be identified.
So did you then, were you then requested to see if you could make any exclusions?
I was then requested to compare the 2 impressions to Charles Vallow to see if I can determine whether the 2 impressions did not originate from Charles Vallow.
Starting with the first impression that you found above the W, but the other side of the bat from what we see in 35 here, where there's a diameter marking. Were you able to reach any conclusions in looking at the prints from Charles Vallow and that recovered print?
Again, I went through the ACE-V process, and during the comparison phase and evaluation phase, I determined that the first latent was inconclusive to Charles Vallow, meaning that I could neither identify nor exclude him from having made the impression.
So does that just mean there's just not enough in that print to do anything with?
Correct. So it lacks sufficient agreement in the detail to identify, and it lacks sufficient disagreement in the impressions to exclude.
And is that common when you have a latent print that just doesn't seem to have the level of detail just necessary for that?
Yes, that is a common conclusion.
So you're not saying it's Charles, you're not saying it's not Charles, you just can't do anything with it.
I could neither identify or exclude Charles Vallow.
So for the second print, did you also attempt to compare that to latent prints from Charles Vallow?
Yes, I did.
And were you able to reach any conclusions as to that?
Yes, my conclusion was that the latent was inconclusive to Charles Vallow due to lack of detail in the latent and exemplar.
Were you ever asked to try to exclude Alex Cox as having made those latent prints?
No. After I initially did not compare the latents to the 3 individuals on the named comparison, I was only asked to compare the 2 impressions to Charles Vallow.
So you also weren't asked to try to exclude or secondary compare to a Lori Vallow?
No, I was not.
And were you ever asked to compare to a Tylee Ryan?
No, I was not.
Did that sort of end your
That's what I'm worried
processing
about.
and comparisons of this bat?
Yes.
Thank you. I have no other questions for this witness.
Cross.
You're just going to end it like that? Hold on, baby. Just give Mama a minute.
You said earlier that the DNA that you collected, was that ever tested? I don't know. Is it sent somewhere else? Correct. So the city of Chandler does not have the capability to test for DNA. Anytime we swab for DNA, we send it to the state lab for analysis.
So you swabbed it and sent it to the lab, and that was the last you heard of it?
Yes.
No, not helpful.
Thank you, that's all.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Any questions for this witness from any member of the jury?
Afternoon,
I don't
lunchtime?
see any, so you can step down, ma'am.
Or
I
break
think it's a
them?
good time to take our afternoon recess. We'll be recessed for 15 minutes.
We're on
Please
recess for
remember the
15 minutes, so I'm going to take that time to feed my fur babies. I'll be right in this other room. Not far at all. Okay, come on. You want food? You want dinner? Show me. Come on. Come on, Lola, show me. Do you want? Is that what you want? Come on, tell Mama. Okay then. Good girl. You're my smart girl, huh? Hold on, baby girl. Let me clean your dish first. Okay, which one you want? We do. Want to do salmon? Okay. I know, Binksy. There's that. You want your treats? You gonna keep being a good girl? Okay. Sounds like a deal. The kids are fed. Hold on. How's the gong show? I don't know what that means, Sharon. Yep, that was Nala. That's who you always hear talking, is Nala. time for me to clean up my mess. The oldest is Nala. We have one. There's a couple Binksy pictures. One sec. We have that one, and that one. Nala's the oldest. She's orange. Then Abby's the antisocial one who growls at everybody. She don't like nobody except for Aaron. Then we have Mila. She'll be 2 this year, this summer. And Binksy will be 1 in October. Well, they were all girls until Binksy. To be completely honest with you, I feel really, really guilty about getting him fixed. Like, really guilty. He just had his rabies and distemperament shot. He goes on, is it next week? The week after? To get snipped and nipped. For everything that they have to get him done, it costs over $1,000. Vet bills have really gone up. Will it calm him down? Because he's recently got this obsession of digging his claws into me and then pulling, as well as biting. I have so much guilt about getting Nala and Mila fixed. Even though they're indoor cats, I have serious guilt because the fact that you guys know why it would bother me. When we got Mila, Nala acted like that was her baby. And when we got Binks, no, they're on their afternoon break. They should be back in a couple minutes. When we got Binks, she again acted like she was the mama. Yeah, it's the cost. It's over $1,000. But we're getting it done. Just don't explain to him what that is. I say it this way. Aaron's the daddy, so Aaron could explain it to him. We also have to get his front claws out because all the other girls' claws are out. So we can't have one that has front claws and he uses them when he fights. He uses those claws bad. I didn't, but thank you for telling me that. It makes me feel better because I'm getting really, really nervous about Nala's age. I've never had a cat that was like Nala. She is more like a person than a cat. Well, with Abby, she acts like everybody's stepping on her damn Cheerios. Like she always is hissing at everybody. Yep, we got that one, Susan. Thank you. Did you also know that there was a helicopter that crashed? 6 deceased, a family of 5 that was here on a trip from Spain. I can't remember. Well, Nala's, I believe, going to be 15 this year. Nala, like I was telling you guys before, Nala's not like any animal I'd ever been around. When I'm not feeling well, she knows it before I know it. Oh, I haven't been able to check my messages yet. So I don't know what you said. Sorry. I can't check during lives. When my sugar is too low or too high, Nala comes and tells me. She knows before I feel any of the symptoms or signs of it. When I have a bad migraine, I have pictures of her laying down with me with her paws on my head. When I'm depressed, I have pictures of her under the blanket with me, staying pressed up against me. I think I have pictures of them in here. Let me see. Give me a minute to pull it. I'd have to go back a bit. That's Abby. That's Binksy. That's Nala and Binksy. My picture's covering it, but they're playing in a box. They love boxes. And then I have one from the other. Wait, where'd this one go? This one. This is Mila and Binksy curled up together on the couch. Then we have Nala and Binksy playing. Binksy. He posed for this next picture here. I'll show you. This one was just the other day and he posed for it. Where is it? That one. But this one is the one. The over the shoulder look. He's a model. Total model. There's another Mila. Thank you, Renee. That means a lot. I think our first true crime cat was Mila. Binks is working his way in. Nala's just always here either which way, but yeah. Let me show you guys a picture of Abby when she was a baby. She looked like a little baby gremlin. Oh my gosh, if I have that picture in here. You guys know I love photography, right? Oh, wait, here's one of me, the one of me and Nala cuddling when I didn't feel good. That's Nala and Abby. You guys know I used to be a photographer, right? That's why I have so many pictures. I'm obsessed with it. That's my Nala. They're going to be coming back any minute. I could tell by the way they're moving the camera. I got pictures for days. Hold on. I want to find the one of Abby that has her looking like a gremlin. It's so damn cute. Where is it? I love this one on Nala. Yeah, I can't wait to get home so we can figure out why those pictures didn't come through. Okay. So here is one of Nella's baby pictures. I'm sorry, Abby. Oh my gosh. Here's a picture of when the girls were little. You can barely see not the tip of Abby's nose. Nala has her paw on Abby's shoulder, and she's looking at her like she's giving her the secrets to life. She's like, now listen here, I'm going to give you some advice. That's what this picture is. It cuts it off though, so you can't tell, but that's what that picture is. I can't believe I managed to get that picture. Okay, here's a picture that you guys are going to fall in love with. You ready? That's Mama's girls. That wasn't the picture I was trying to pick. There's another one of Nala taking care of me. I'm telling you guys, she's not a cat. She's more. I don't know how to explain it. Where is Abby's gremlin picture?
All right, please be seated. We're on the record. The jury is present. State call its next witness.
They're coming back right now. I'm just going through pictures. Welcome back.
I do solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
All right, go and have a seat to my left.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Kay Woodcock, Charles Vallow's younger sister.
How old are you?
How old am I
Hey, Woodcock.
today?
Today.
64.
And are you married?
Yes.
Where do you currently live?
Lake Charles, Louisiana.
I want to talk to you about your siblings. You told us that you are Charles's sister. How many siblings were there in your family?
6.
And where did Charles fall into that?
He was number 3.
Who are the other siblings?
My oldest sister, Terry, then my next sister, Susan, then Charles, then Jerry, then me, then Bobby.
And where did you guys grow up?
We're in Lake Charles.
Were you close with your brother?
Yes, I was.
Did you know his wife, Lori Daybell?
Yes, I do.
Can you point her out in the courtroom and tell us what she's wearing?
She's the defendant over there in the black jacket.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witnesses identified the defendant.
It shall.
I want to talk to you sort of about Lori and Charles. Were you at their wedding?
No, they went to Las Vegas.
We did too.
Do you recall what year they got married?
2006.
Did they have a reception that
I don't know if that's what you'd call it, but there was a family gathering in March of 2006 at a ranch in near Austin, Texas, that we all went to.
Okay, kind of to celebrate that.
Yes,
Had your brother Charles been married before?
yes,
Did he have any children from his prior marriage?
yes.
How many?
2.
And who were they?
Cole Vallow and Zach Vallow.
And did you know if Lori had any children from a prior marriage?
Yes, Zach, Colby Ryan and Tylee Ryan.
When Lori and Charles got married, did Charles's 2 sons live with them?
Live with Charles and Lori?
Yeah.
No.
Did they stay with their mother?
Yes, they did. They visited, but they never lived there.
Where were they? Was that in Arizona or still in Texas?
In Austin.
And I want to ask you sort of some of the ages of the children involved. In July of 2019, was Tylee still a minor?
Yes,
So she was still living with them.
yes,
In July of 29, do you know if Colby was still a minor?
yes. Oh, wait, no, Colby was not.
He was an adult.
He was an adult.
And in July of 2019, were Charles's 2 sons, Cole and Zach, still minors or adults?
They were adults.
Okay. Did Charles and Lori have any children together?
They adopted my grandson, JJ.
And can you tell us how that worked out?
How that worked out,
Or
meaning
how did they get involved in adopting your grandchild?
Charles approached me about it one day. He called, and I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on then, and that was my son's child, and there was a lot going on. So I just told him then, look, I can't make a decision like that. We don't know how this is going to go. Just, just keep me in mind, keep it in mind. And so I kept it in mind.
And do you recall when did they adopt JJ?
It was final in July of 2014.
How old was he then?
He was 2.
Did JJ have any special needs?
Yes, he was autistic, and he was born 10 weeks premature.
Okay. So he took a little extra care.
He did, absolutely.
Do you recall, so if he was 2 and they adopted him, how old was he in July of 2019?
He was 7. We spent his 7th birthday together in Lake Charles.
So in July of 2019, to your knowledge, Lori and Charles still had 2 children under the age of 18 with them, Tylee and JJ?
Yes,
So if in July of 2019, Lori Vallow was saying she had 5 kids she was taking care of, you were unaware of the other 3?
there were not 5 there, no. There were 2.
Can you tell us about the relationship between Charles and JJ?
Charles was the best dad. I mean, he was always doting on him. The arrangement I figured out eventually was that if Charles was working out of town, Lori had him all by herself. And so when Charles got back to town, JJ was his to take care of, 100%.
Would Charles bring JJ to visit your side of the family in Louisiana?
Oh, yes.
Did you regularly see him?
Yes, once JJ learned how to fly, and excuse me, I'm in the water. Once JJ learned how to fly,
Thank you, Connie.
that he was, because he was autistic,
How are you?
something like that is, a big deal for him, and he loved it. So he was a little flyer. He loved to go in the airplane.
What did your brother Charles do for a living?
He sold annuities. He was a financial planner.
And how long did you know him to do that?
If I had to guess, 20 years, I guess.
Did he work for others or have his own business? What do you recall?
He had his own business.
Had he previously any times ever worked for others?
Yes,
But in July of 2019, he had his own business.
yes.
Did he have a business partner?
He did, yes.
Did his job require him to travel a lot?
He did. He would be gone 3 or 4 days a week, on average. Sometimes he didn't have to travel, but he was just, but yeah, he would be gone 3 or 4 days a week when he would be working.
I want to ask you a little bit about Charles. Was he sort of a meticulous person when it came to paperwork?
Oh, yes. I mean,
Okay.
for when you're doing that
Stay
type of
safe.
work, you have to be meticulous and methodical, and you can't make any errors. No, you can't miss a dot or crossing a T, because it will get kicked back to you, and then it just causes a lot of delay and a lot of trouble. So he was actually, he said, there was never anybody I've ever trusted to do this for me. And I was like, well, I'll do it for you, because,
All right, we'll stop here.
yeah.
So
There's your girl, Renee.
when Charles was working as financial planner, do you know if he had Lori help him with any part of his job?
I don't really know exactly what she did, but yes.
Okay.
But I don't know what she did.
Prior to Charles being a financial advisor, did he have a very different career in sports?
Oh, he was, he quit, I don't know if, I don't remember because I was quite young then, but he did, I believe he was drafted in the
This is Charles's sister.
early 70s into the Houston Astros minor league.
So when you were growing up, did you see your brother playing baseball?
I was raised at a baseball field. If it wasn't Charles, Jerry played for years, my other brother, but Charles stuck with it, and that's how he got to college with a degree, with a scholarship.
So you got stuck many a night and a weekend having to be at the ball field with your brother.
Yes,
What position did your brother play?
he was a pitcher. He was very, very good. He was a left-handed pitcher, and they're very hard to hit against.
Okay. Did he bat right or left-handed?
He was left-handed.
Did he do everything left-handed?
Yes.
Left-handed?
This is a pivotal moment because Lori had said when she was questioning a witness that Charles actually bat right-handed even though he's left-handed. His sister is saying quite the opposite. In your face, Lori.
After your brother, well, let me ask you, do you know how long he played in the semi-pro?
I don't. He had moved to Houston, and but he blew out his knee, and that's ended that right there.
Did your brother stay in shape after that, even though he blew out his knee?
Oh yes, he was always doing something. Always.
Right, Crystal?
Bike riding, hiking, just anything. Gym, all, he was very active.
So every time you saw him, he was taking care of himself.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you a little bit about religion. Did your family grow up in the LDS church or faith?
No, we did not.
Did you know Charles to ever convert to the LDS faith?
He did at some point during his marriage to Lori.
Oh. Charles was not LDS before Lori.
When Lori and Charles were married, did you know Did they always live in one state or did they move?
No.
I don't know.
They lived here in Phoenix, in the Phoenix area, Chandler, Gilbert, and then they moved to Hawaii. And
If you want me to be completely honest, it's not just that religion. I think it's just that it's that religion's time in the spotlight for what they're doing. People use all kinds of religions. Religion is one of our most vulnerable places. Whether you believe in something or you don't, that's where you're most vulnerable, and that's why people, in my opinion, are targeted through their religion or through their faith. Yes, baby girl.
2014.
What's wrong?
And then they moved
Tell
back
Mama.
late 2016,
Mama?
early 2017.
What is it?
Back to,
Oh, back here to Phoenix
What do you
area.
Okay.
do you recall where they were, what state they were in when they met?
When Charles and Lori met,
Yeah.
they were in Texas.
Texas, okay. In 2018 and 19, you told us that Charles and JJ would come visit you and the family regularly.
Yes.
In March of 2018, did you have a member of your family pass away?
Yes, my mother did in March of 18.
Did Charles come out for that?
Yes, he did. He was there for her services. Lori was not, and we felt like something was going on. Well, actually, my husband felt it before I did, and then when she didn't show for my mother's funeral, I just thought that was just appalling. It appalled me that she wouldn't even come to something like that with her husband.
What was your relationship like with Lori?
Because of the work I did, the company we owned, I was on the phone an extreme amount of time, all the time. So I really don't like to call people. I'm not a phone person. I'll text you all day long, but I really don't like to talk. And so Lori and I never really had a big phone relationship. It was a text here and there, but mostly Charles would keep me up to date as to, different things that were going on, or, what they were up to, or Charles would call. Yeah, Charles would call me mostly.
So it sounds like you weren't close with her.
When Lori and I were together, it was like we hadn't missed a minute. We just took up where we left off, and she's very outgoing, and she's very friendly and very easy to talk to, and so we got along rather well, and I loved her.
So continuing in 2018, do you recall seeing Charles and JJ coming out to visit you guys in
Sandra.
October of 2018?
Yes,
What was that for?
just a weekend visit.
What about in November of 2018? Did you see Charles and JJ then?
We did. My husband and myself and my granddaughter, we went to Las Vegas, and Charles and JJ met us there for the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. I thought that was odd. He wasn't with his family. He said Lori was sick, or Tylee was sick, is what he told us, but he just wouldn't share what all was going on at that point. Then when he finally did, he unloaded it all.
So in 2018, did you have any idea there were any, let me say this, in 2018, did you have some concerns about their relationship?
Yes, it was, for him to come as often as they were coming, was odd, and he was just unsettled, and we knew something was going on, but he would never say. So he did, he talked to us when he was ready.
When you get into 2019, did you start to see your brother more?
Yes.
First, without going into what Charles said, did you ever become aware finally that his marriage with Lori was in trouble?
Yes, I did.
In 2019, again, without going into what Charles said, did you ever believe that Charles was concerned for his safety?
Charles was absolutely concerned for his safety. Lori had sent me a text, I think it was on a Thursday, that she and Charles were fighting because because of some stuff she came up with, and that she and JJ and Tylee were at a hotel. Well, I guess Tylee was, I'm not sure. And because she didn't want to have any fighting, so they went to a hotel. And I came out. I knew Charles the next day. That's when she sent it to me. And then I just really didn't. I didn't call Charles. I knew he'd call me, and he sure enough did. And he was a mess. And so I flew out the next day out here to help him with JJ and just to come and talk to him and see what was going on. He was alone, and Lori's family turned their backs on him and JJ. Okay.
Let's just kind of break it all down.
All right.
You got a lot that you remember. So you said that you got a text from Lori indicating that she and JJ and Tylee were at a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said that Charles then called you maybe the next day.
Yes.
And you came out here to Arizona.
Yes.
When you came out here to Arizona, did you become aware at that point that there was a big problem now with their relationship?
There was a huge problem now with their relationship.
And during this time when you had come out here, do you remember approximately when that was?
Like the 1st of February of 2019, or the 2nd. It was right in there.
When you came out here, did you then speak with Charles about his concerns for his safety? Just yes or no?
About his what?
His concerns for his safety.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
That's just yes. Is this the time where, well, let me ask it this time. When you came out here, did you see Lori?
No.
When you came out here, did anyone know where Lori was?
No, nobody was talking about where she was. Nobody would tell Charles where she was.
So your brother was trying to find where she was?
Yes, he was.
Where was JJ at this time?
He was with Charles, and that's one of the reasons I came out was to help him with JJ, because he was quite a handful, and Charles was a mess. He was broken. He was a broken-hearted man.
So you come out here, Charles has JJ. Where's Tylee? Do you know?
She's, as far as we knew, she was staying at Lori's brother's. That's what we knew then.
Did you have any interaction with her?
No.
How long did Charles have JJ where he's looking for Lori and can't find her?
Well, that portion of the time was 58 days, and I knew how many days it was because every day Charles would say something. He would tell me.
So he was counting them.
He would count them.
Were you out here the whole time? What'd you do?
Me too.
I could work remotely at the time, so I did stay out here a lot, often, but I would fly back. I was back and forth between Louisiana and here from from February until the end of March, because at that point we moved Charles to Houston.
So the end of March, you said you were moving Charles to Houston. Was that with JJ?
Yes,
Why are you helping him move to
Same.
Houston?
because Charles told me that Lori did not want JJ anymore, or Kylie, or him. And I said, okay, well, look, what if you move to Houston and I'll be 2.5 hours away, and when you go out of town, I'll come and stay with JJ. And so he was talking about hiring a nanny, and I said, no, I will be the nanny, and I'll come and take care of him when you have to work. And it's easy enough, and you won't have to pay a penny.
So when Charles has JJ, you're helping take care of JJ in this time period in February, March.
Yeah.
What about Charles's business? Did you help with that at all?
Yes, I had to get my arms around the whole thing. All the payments that needed to be made, the accounts, the emails, all that stuff you have to change over and change the password and all that, so Lori couldn't access it any longer.
You said you had your own job. What were you doing at that time in addition to helping your brother?
My husband and I owned a coastal crew change. It was a transportation company for the offshore oil and gas and LNG industry.
Okay. So you're trying to work that job and help Charles with his business.
Yes, I had a really great assistant who helped me an awful lot.
Do you remember when you were packing up to move Charles to Houston?
Yes.
You there?
I was there.
Did Lori show back up?
She did. I was in the pantry in the kitchen, packing up the pantry, and I don't know what, just something caught my attention, and I walked out and she was standing there. She had her back to me. Charles was sitting at the table on his phone, and
Oh yeah.
he obviously didn't realize that she was there. And then finally, when he hung up, he looked up and there she was, and he started crying, and she started yelling
Do you recall what she was yelling about?
that, why did you take JJ? Why did you take JJ? Why did you take him out of school? Why are you moving? What are you doing? All this is your fault. It was just ridiculous.
So she'd been gone for 58 days, leaving,
No contact whatsoever.
and then she shows up at the house when you guys are moving out.
Yeah.
What was Charles's demeanor reaction? You said he was crying?
He was at first, but then he was just trying. Charles was a very soft-spoken man, and he was just trying to get a word in edgewise. And finally, Lori settled down a little bit, and they went and they talked for a while in the living room, or I guess it's like a great room, and then they moved to the bedroom to talk. And I could still hear every now and then Lori would get a little loud, but they were talking. And then I remember that Lori came. Let's see, I was sitting at the dining table, and she stood next to me and she said, "I love you, KK." And I said, "Well, I love you too. I'm sorry this is happening." And she cried, and I didn't know what to do really. So, I mean, I just was there. And then she walked off, and the next day she came, I don't know who came, but they got Tylee's belongings out of the casita where all of Tylee's belongings were. And I don't remember if she got anything of hers. I really don't remember.
I like how she's letting her tell the story.
So are we now talking the beginning, end of March, beginning of April of 2019 when
Hmm.
Charles is moving back to
I
Houston?
agree.
Yes.
Did he bring JJ with him?
Yes. Well, in order for me and Charles to move in, Larry, I flew out here and brought JJ back to Louisiana with me. And then my husband, Larry, kept him for a week while while I flew back here to help Charles pack and then drive back to Houston.
All right, so you guys rented a big truck and drove it?
He drove the U-Haul, I drove his pickup.
All right. When you and Charles got to Houston, then did your husband bring JJ back?
Yes, he did.
Through all of this time with Charles when he was looking for Lori while she was gone for those 58 days, did he still want Lori to be part of JJ's life?
He did. He never was trying to take that away from Lori, even though Lori didn't want him anymore. I still didn't. I never really understood that, but I guess he was just hoping for the best.
It's my new dharma.
Yes, he absolutely wanted her to be part of his life, Lori's life.
So once Charles moved to Houston, did Lori ever also move out there?
I don't know if you call it moved out there, but she did. She came that day on March 28th. Charles said, "Look, we're moving to Houston. You're welcome to come. I'll fly you out Sunday." And she said, "No, I'm busy. I have a project," or something she was doing in Hawaii. She said, "It'll be about 2 weeks and I'll be in Houston." So whatever she did, she was gone for 2 weeks, 2 more weeks. It was a total of 72 days, I believe, she was gone altogether. And
Well done.
then she was there. She and Tylee moved in at Charles's, and Charles said that she slept in JJ's room with him.
So the first 2 weeks when Charles and JJ are in Houston without Lori, were you ever there to help with JJ, with Charles's business?
No, Lori was there. I mean,
I guess
JJ was.
before she moved there, the 2 weeks.
Oh, I think.
Or did
No,
you?
I had to go home for a little while, but Charles came like the weekend. So if I wasn't here, he was there.
So once you drove him there, you may have stayed to help him and then you went home.
Yeah.
And you weren't there when Lori came to Houston.
No.
You told us that you had been helping your brother with his business, and I think you said something about changing passwords.
Yeah.
Was that to different financial accounts?
Right. Credit card, bank, stuff like that. Yeah. The password, Google, the password,
All the things you use for business.
Yes.
And so when you started helping him, you had changed a lot of those passwords.
Yes.
At some point, did you become aware or at some point did Charles stop asking you to help him with the business?
He did, and that's when Lori came back.
Okay. Now, you said that your brother worked in annuities, right?
Yes.
Welcome back.
Right? That last part of the time when you were working with him up through sort of the end of March, beginning of April, Were you aware of Charles coming into a large amount of money?
He was receiving an annuity, what do you call it? I can't think of the word right now, but he was receiving like
settlement?
$125,000 check for his commission for annuities, and Lori obviously knew that because she was there just a few days before that came into the bank, that was deposited into the bank. I had access to the bank, so I would watch that.
So even though Lori came back, you still had the passwords to look into Charles's account?
Yes.
Do you know how long Lori stayed in Texas with Charles?
It was, it's like she wasn't there the entire time, but I mean, she was always traveling through May. I'll say towards the end of May. I'm not for sure exactly what day.
So at some point, a couple months later, you become aware that she has left Houston.
Yes.
Did you know where she went?
Yeah, she was back back here.
Did you know, did JJ come with her when she moved back here to Arizona?
He did.
And did you know, did your brother move back here?
No, he did not.
And with your access to the finances, were you aware whether or not Charles was paying for a house here in Arizona for Lori and JJ?
I really don't recall seeing that transaction. I really don't, but that, that doesn't mean it didn't happen. At that time, I was selling my company, and so I had a lot going on at that time, and that's when it was really getting, the due diligence. The company was doing their due diligence, so I had to provide a lot of information for them, and so it really was perfect timing because then I got super busy with my company, and I didn't have to deal with all of Charles's because Lori was back. Or
Let me ask you something else. Were you aware of when Charles met Lori, or they got married? Do you know if she worked?
She was a hairdresser. She did work as a hairdresser, and I don't know exactly when she quit working, but she didn't. I don't think she worked long. If she did, after they got married.
Okay. So for most of the time when you knew them to be married, you did not see her working outside the home.
No.
Did Charles, I guess, work so she could stay home with the kids?
Yes, he was fine with being a one income, letting her stay home, tend to the kids, and he would be the money maker.
I don't think Lori's ready for her. I don't think Lori can go toe to toe with Kate. Honestly, I don't.
Now, I know that we've talked about Charles working in the area of financial planning. Did you know if Charles had a life insurance policy?
Yes.
That's something that, how did you learn about that?
Well, I mean, he had told my husband Larry and I years ago, he helped us acquire a $1 million life insurance policy on, for me and my husband each. And because he always had one, and Lori had one, so that was nothing new or unusual to talk about.
Okay. At some point when you were helping Charles, when Lori had disappeared and Charles didn't know where she was, did you have a conversation with Charles about the beneficiary of his life insurance?
Yes, it was early February when I came here to help him with JJ, and he said, look, I'm gonna take Lori off as beneficiary, and I'm gonna put you as a beneficiary. And I was like, we talked about maybe a minute and a half about it, and I was like, okay, whatever. I really don't want to be that person, but okay. And I never followed up to see if he changed. I didn't know until I got the phone call after he was killed.
So the discussion you had of that change was during that time period when he couldn't find Lori, had no idea where he was, and he was taking care of JJ?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You think?
And you were helping him take care of JJ.
Yes.
I don't know.
So if something had happened to Charles during that time when Lori wasn't around, would
Yes,
you have
baby
taken
girl.
care of JJ?
What's the matter?
Yes, he would have come back to me and my husband.
Here, Mom, I'll make room for you.
So I want to kind of go to right around that July time period. Do you recall when was the last time, I'll start with, when was the last time you saw
She
your
bowed.
brother, Charles?
That's a good question. Probably must have been in June.
And do you recall where that was or the
I think he came to
circumstances?
Lake Charles for the weekend.
Did you see JJ then?
Yeah, no. The last time I saw JJ was May 18th.
When was the last time you recall speaking or texting with your brother Charles?
He texted me the night before he was shot, and just, hey, I'm going to be in Phoenix tomorrow, and how's it going? And just a little short text, and I'm boarding the plane now, and I'll be back in Phoenix in a little bit. And
We're almost to
then
30,000
he told me a
likes,
few other things
guys.
he had
Thank you.
planned, but that was not much, not a big deal.
Did
Nothing
you think
major.
he was going to Phoenix to just see JJ?
Yes.
Did you know anything about any type of intervention?
No, he never talked. If he did talk to me about it, and I'm pretty sure I would have remembered that.
I wonder too.
But no, I know that he and Adam was his confidant during that time, Lori's brother, and so I know that whatever he was doing, Adam was part of it, and they were just. I knew he was in good hands with Adam, because Adam, they love Charles, him and his wife.
Do you have any knowledge of Charles wanting to get a place here in Phoenix so he could be closer to JJ?
I don't remember that, but I can't remember that. I mean, I don't know.
No,
I can't
okay,
answer that.
that's okay. I want to talk to you then about, so you talked to your brother, just kind of normal stuff as he was, before he got here to Phoenix. How did you learn that your brother Charles was dead?
It was on July the 12th. I was at a nail salon in Lake Charles, my granddaughter and I, and I got a call from his oldest son, Cole, and he said, hey, what is going on? I just got a text from Lori, and she said, Dad's dead. And I said, wait, what did you just say? And he told me again, and I said, something's wrong with that. That can't be true. And I said, have you tried to call her? And Cole's like, yes, she won't. I'm trying calling. She's not answering. He was freaking out, and I was like, okay, Cole, just give me a minute. Let me think about this. Let me see, and I'll call you back. I promise, as soon as I can figure this out. So
I don't know if you guys caught that or not. I know we spoke about it briefly before. Lori told the two oldest boys of Charles's, that their dad was dead via text message.
Called my husband to tell him, and he said, okay, well, I told him that what the Cole said, and he said, hey, let me call you back in a minute. And so I was still at the nail salon trying to get out of there. And
I agree with you.
he called and he said, he's dead. I Googled him and he's dead. Alex killed him yesterday. And I mean, that was just like, it was horrible. I have to call my siblings and let them know. And everybody was freaked out. I didn't know what to do. But I did call Cole back and let him know that it was true. And just was telling him, let's keep in touch. You find out something, I find out something. We'll let each other know. And
Did you try to reach out to Lori?
I tried calling, texting Charles. I tried calling, texting Lori. And at some point, she texted me. She returned a text, something like, I'm having to deal with a lot of stuff and I'm busy. And she was too busy to even call his family to say that he was dead by her brother killing him. And
Okay.
So you had tried to reach her and she was too busy to talk to you.
yeah.
Did you ever, what was the burial plans? Did you ever get Charles back? What happened with him?
We ended up calling a detective, the detectives in Chandler, since that's where it happened. And we were able to speak to a detective, I don't know who, but we told them that I had already arranged us a flight for the next day. We were here by noon Saturday because I needed to know where JJ was. I didn't know what he had seen. I didn't know what he knew. I knew he would be, I knew it wasn't good, but I couldn't, we had to talk to the detectives before I did anything with Lori. So, and we had to wait till Sunday to meet with Nate Moffitt. And then when we talked to him is when I told him about the life insurance policy and that Lori, that I didn't know if Charles had ever changed it to me like he said he was going to do. And so I didn't know, but I just knew we had to get JJ because he was not safe with her.
Let me stop you there. I'm going to go back to Charles. Where was Charles buried, or what was done with his remains?
Well, this is before Lori knew she wasn't getting the money. She had him cremated, and he was FedEx or whatever over to my office, along with his Letterman's jacket from high school and a couple pair of cheap sunglasses and 1 or 2 watches. It was just a few little trinkets. And Charles had a watch collection, and she just sent some crap.
So she cremated him and FedExed him to you.
Yes,
Sent them to your work office?
yes.
Now, you're saying this is before she learned the life insurance policy was not going to be, she was not going to be the beneficiary. Did you set up like a service for Charles? And
Yes, my
did.
family and I made arrangements for a memorial service to happen in Lake Charles on August the 3rd, which was, he was killed July 11th. So took us a little bit to put it together, but we did.
did you talk to Lori about having JJ come out for Charles's service?
I think the last time I talked to Lori was she told us that she wanted, I asked her, what can we do in Houston? I was trying to be nice because I knew she had something to do with his murder. And I'm not one that can just lie off the cuff. I'm a bad liar. And so when I did talk to her, and it was a long, awkward conversation I had with her, but I was like, what do you want us to do with the stuff at the house in Houston? But when we got to the house in Houston, and she did, yeah, y'all please go do what you want to do with it, see what Cole wants, y'all
Believe
split it up,
she
y'all
did.
take it.
She gave you permission to go to the
Yes.
house in Houston and take whatever was there?
Yes, and when we got there, none of Charles's personal belongings were there. Nothing at all. And that I couldn't figure out why nothing of Charles's or JJ's was there. Or wait, nothing of Charles's was there. Just his business files and the big furniture, sofa, beds, stuff like that.
So you went there, you did that. How did you, and you told us that you did not know for sure if your brother had ever changed the beneficiary from Lori to you. How did you find out if that was done?
I think it was the following week. A lady from Banner Life, that's where it's policy, who wrote the policy. A lady called and said that I was the beneficiary. I was the sole beneficiary, and what was our address, and she wanted to verify a few things and to send out the check.
When you got that call, did you ever have Lori confront you about the life insurance policy?
Did I ever have Lori what?
Yeah, did Lori ever confront you about being the beneficiary for Charles's life insurance policy?
Yes. She
Tell
didn't
us.
call and do it. She sent me a text one night, a picture or two of a screenshot. She took a screenshot of the change of beneficiary form with my name on it. And she said something to the effect of 5 kids and his sister gets all the money, or is that why you want JJ? Something to that effect, which it made no sense. I want JJ, period. That was a dumb statement by her.
So let me ask you this. So she told you again that she was left with these 5 kids, right?
Yeah, 5 kids. She had Colby and Tylee and JJ. And
at that
Colby
time-
was out of the house, so it was just Tylee and JJ.
She's messaging you this saying how upset
Yeah, Parker checked, so I'll check in with you guys. Is everybody okay? I know this is a lot, and it's really, really, really heavy and emotional.
that she is because she has 5 kids to take care of.
Yeah.
And then she tells you that, is this why you wanted JJ to come to Charles's service?
No, I had already gotten the okay from her to come get him. I was going to fly here, pick him up, go back to Louisiana, keep him for a week, during, and attend this, so he could attend the service during that time. And when she found out she was not, when she found the change of beneficiary form, she said that she was too busy. They were moving to Hawaii, and it would be too confusing for JJ to come, and he needed to be with her.
So after she found out and had confronted you about that change of beneficiary where you are now getting Charles's life insurance policy, she changed her mind and refused to let JJ go to Charles's service.
Yes.
Service.
If you think about it, if he would have changed the beneficiary to JJ, she still would have had some control over that money. So when that beneficiary was changed to K, did she even see that she had a need for JJ anymore? You guys know I don't feel that way. I don't think that way, but I'm wondering if that's how she was thinking. Thank you for the follow, Jake. Right. Exactly. I wish the jury could know that part, what happened to him.
After this confrontation about Charles making you the beneficiary of the life insurance policy, did that pretty much end most of the contact you had with Lori, other than you reaching out to talk with JJ?
Yes.
Except that didn't
I have
happen.
other questions.
All right, Cross.
Here we go. Be careful, Lori. No one's going to side with you here. We're all watching with our hackles raised. We're watching. We see you. See us, see you. I got the volume at 100. I can't turn it up.
Ms. Woodcock, where were you on July 11th, 2019?
It is
Home in
Crystal.
Lake Charles, Louisiana.
She is. She's taking her sweet ass time.
Were you aware at all of the relationship between Charles and Tylee?
It was, let's say, it was a bit contemptuous. It seemed like there was always a lot of drama going on, and so that's all I knew. He didn't say too much about it, and I didn't pry.
I'm going to pause it here for 30 seconds. If you guys know anyone that wanted to be here for this specific part, make sure you let them know that now's the time to come into the live, because I'm not going to go and replay it. So share this out if you guys know anyone that wanted to be here. I'll give it about 30 seconds. I know I'm still going to upload it on YouTube later, but this part right here is something that means a lot to a lot of people. And how she treats her, she won't get away with that. And I want you guys to know that her oldest son, Colby, he's in that courtroom today. He saw his uncle Adam testify, and now he's seeing Kay testify. And about his siblings that are deceased, that she took away. Keep that in mind while all this is happening. Colby is in that courtroom. He is.
But you knew that there was some kind of contention going on with those two for
I
a
can't hear
while.
you.
I'm sorry. You did know that there was some kind of contention going on with those two for a while.
Yes.
Okay. And you weren't really aware of the events that happened that morning, were you?
The morning of his
July-
murder?
Of July 11th?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
Because you didn't tell me.
Lori, listen, I'm going to give you a little bit of a. Actually, no, I don't. Go ahead and go do it. Go ahead, do it.
Ms. Woodcock, did you see or hear or personally witness me conspire with Alex Cox to kill my husband, Charles Mallow?
No, but I saw a ton of evidence that did.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right, redirect.
Hold the hell on. She knew the moment that she got up there and after she asked the first question that she was a solid brick wall and she was going to smack right into it if she kept on going. She wouldn't have gotten anywhere with her. This woman is everything that Lori fears. Everything. And that is a woman that has a spine and not afraid to call her out on her bullshit. And she did just that. I can't, like, I have chills and goosebumps. The level of control that this woman had to have. Lori did chicken out. It was a game of chicken, and she swerved to the left. She really did. Me
You
too.
were asked about the relationship between your brother and Tylee. How old was Tylee when Lori and Charles got married?
She was 3, or right around 3.
Please say
So
she
was
would have been.
Charles in her life for most of her memorable years.
Exactly, yes, he was.
And how old was she in July of 2019?
She was 16. Yeah,
So teenager.
yes.
In terms of their relationship, are you saying that Charles and Tylee never had good times?
Oh, I'm not saying that. I saw them have good times, and it wasn't, it wasn't that they couldn't look at each other, it wasn't like that. But I mean, yeah, a teenage girl on one is hard anyway. But I do know that there was a lot of issues with her dad and Lori with her ex-husband and custody, and it was a mess. It was a mess.
So Tylee had a lot going on in her life.
Yes, she did.
Right.
And you would see her and Charles at times have difficulty getting along.
I never really saw anything that sticks out in my mind. But I just know he'd tell me how it was just difficult. And as a step parent, it can be very difficult. I can attest to that.
Interesting.
So on July 11th, when Charles Vallow was killed, did you actually have any idea that your brother was dead?
None at all. How would I know?
So in terms of you learning that your brother was dead, it was never from Lori
Or
Vallow.
from her.
It was,
It was from Google that my husband found.
thank you. I have no other questions.
Are there any questions for this witness from anyone on the jury? I don't see any questions. You can step down now.
You did your brother well.
All right, members of the jury, that's going to conclude trial for this week. No trial tomorrow. I'm going to try to start early on Monday and Tuesday only. So just to preview next week, I plan on, if you guys can all be here at 10 a.m., ready to start a little earlier than normal for Monday and Tuesday. And then Wednesday and Thursday we'll be back to the 10:30 a.m. All right?
So Monday and
I'll remind
Tuesday
you
will be
to,
starting at noon.
Remember the
one.
admonition and avoid any sort of information about this case that you do not receive from this, that's outside of this
Hi,
courtroom, I should
sugar.
say.
How are you?
All right, thank you. We'll be recessed.
I mean, I will say this. She did her brother proud. She got everything out in the way that could be that wouldn't jeopardize anything. Even worked around Lori's bullshit. She was the best witness of the day, and a lot of people were waiting for this moment. That's why I was fidgeting so much, playing with my
the state or the defense?
because of that. It was my nervous energy going crazy.
All right, we'll see you Monday morning.
She did do an amazing job. I agree, Lori is afraid of her, and she should be. That is not somebody that she could bulldoze through. That's somebody that will push her over and just break her in half without even trying. I have like all this extra energy now. It went from being nothing to suddenly something big. And that's why I was doing my face stuff, because I couldn't sit still. So I'm sorry, but I had to. It was the energy. Just one more case to go, and then all the families don't have to deal with this again. I'm glad that she's done, though. Well, after sentencing and verdict and then sentencing. But let me ask you guys this. Yeah, right? Let me ask you guys this. How do you... Keep in mind the jury, we have 13 men and 3 women. How do you think the jury, as I just described them to you, took the testimony from his sister? Same place, Crystal. Absolutely. I love spending time with you guys. We go through this together. It's not just you guys. It's me too. You guys know. You guys cry with me. I mean, that's right. We have 2 women now. So it's down to 2? Whose wife is guilty? No, it did not, Zoe. That was something, well, not for Lori's. No, it did not. That was something that drove people absolutely irately insane. But yeah, they did not. They had to come out between each thing like Nate Eaton is doing now. Love you guys too. It did. It did. There were some very strong moments. We had her own brother testify today. So it was a day for family reunions. It really was a day for family reunions. Who do you think? Do you think that the jury knew that she realized she was up against a brick wall and that's why she stopped questions? If there was anyone for her to go toe-to-toe with that would definitely lose, well, 99.8% lose, that was her. That was her. That fuck around, find out, that's her. That is that moment right there. It was with her. And she chose not to find out. Whew. I've got so much nervous energy now. Shall we check our headlines? I know. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because I'm an empath or what, but I feel everything hard for every single person. Exactly. Did you notice what voice Lori came back with? Her voice wasn't the bad bitch voice that she tried to give. Her voice switched back to, okay, thank you very much. Because she wanted to come across as being sweet and innocent to the jury, who would see it as she was being the way. Okay, I could just, this is my opinion only. Pretend I have IMO tattooed on my forehead. It's my opinion that I'm going to lose my train of thought. Michelle, don't lose your train of thought. Nope, bring it back. Bring it back in. Nope, pump the brakes. It's there. Shit, I lost it. Who multiple personalities? Well, yeah, that's why I think they're not going to like the drama, the back and forth between the women yesterday. If you guys missed yesterday's most memorable court moments, I did do a nice little video for you. No, I wish we could claim that it was multiple personalities. Me too, Sharon. It's really, really hard sometimes. That's why I switched off the light. I could feel it coming, and I think what I was picking up on was the nervous energy, but I don't know. But you had her brother up there and his sister up there today. Yes, absolutely. Sorry. I meant to do that, but I just got to talking, and then I couldn't even finish my own thought. And the helicopter crash is now listed with 6 fatalities.
Saying that they were able to
Trigger
get
warning.
4 people out of the cabin of the helicopter, and then the FDNY came in and retrieved the remaining 2. Please describe what you saw when they were coming back across and returning back to their vehicles.
Yeah, Christine, it was maybe about, an hour and a half or so after that helicopter went down that we saw an FDNY boat come back here to Pier 40, and several FDNY divers, holding oxygen tanks, wearing their scuba gear, wearing wetsuits that were still sopping wet, come back on land here, and just, it really...
It's not time to board yet, right?
The pier, as you can see behind me, is crowded with people. It had been even more crowded with reporters and
Look at how
crews
many
and
people
city
are on that
officials.
boat. 1,
And
2,
it really
3,
just fell
4,
silent
5,
when
6.
they got on land here, because you could just see in their faces
There's
just
over
how
15 people just
upset
on that boat.
and crestfallen they really were, and
There's
how
way more
just
than that.
sullen they appeared, and the mood was here, and they just kind of walked through and went back to their trucks, still wet, still carrying their gear, after going down to where that helicopter was, and presumably, pulling out those 6 bodies.
Ali, I know that other people there have been sort of gathering, people curious about what's been going on. We're New York City. This is where people from all over the world want to come and visit. And from what we know so far, it sounds like this family from Spain were here today to see the city skyline. It's world famous. They wanted to see the Statue of Liberty, Central Park, the World Trade Center. It sounds as though the helicopter went all the way up to the George Washington Bridge and then started to fly south again on the Hudson. These are all things that I think as New Yorkers, people that live in the tri-state area, we all take advantage of. But I'm curious maybe if some people have been talking to you and sort of taking a pause here today, because it certainly is a different feel here this afternoon than it was when we woke up this morning.
Yeah, it's interesting. In covering news in New York City for as many years as I have, there can be sometimes so much happening in this city that even when something as tragic and catastrophic as this happens, there are still people going about their lives in some ways, which can be odd, because when you imagine tragedies like this happening, like in movies or something, you think everything stops and everyone is just going and staring at it, and that's sometimes my expectation of things, and it can be at odds with that expectation when you then get to somewhere and people are still carrying on, still, biking along the West Side Highway, still playing games at some of the fields here, and really then just figuring out and catching up to speed. And, there are some people who are going about life, but there are a lot of people who are stopping and just really holding that tragedy and holding space for that. Christine?
Well said, Ali. Thank you for all of the teamwork, to you and the rest of the reporters that took part here in our coverage. And as we wrap up here tonight of this deadly helicopter crash in the Hudson, once again, we can confirm 6 people dead, including 3 kids and 3 adults. Officials say the family was here visiting from Spain, and that chopper left the downtown Manhattan skyport around 3 this afternoon, and then it crashed in the Hudson. Divers searching the waters to recover all 6 bodies. The cause still unknown. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you tonight at 11.
And there was the one where the wings clipped as well, right? Let me see if I can find that one too. Wait, I have the video. Hold on.
Tom, as we're having this conversation, we want to warn our viewers, we are getting some video of the moment of impact. This is disturbing video. We do want to show you.
I wasn't thinking that through. Hold on 1 second. The most recent one? Oh no, the bumping wings. Okay, got it. If I would have played that, it would have just not been good. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Okay, so then this one that Sandra sent from this morning, this afternoon, was updated at 3 o'clock. And this is WXII. So here's what we've got. The Federal Aviation Administration will investigate after 2 American Airlines regional jets bumped wings at Washington's Reagan National Airport on Thursday. The wingtip of the American Flight 5490 struck American Airlines 4022 on the highway around 12:45. FAA said in a statement. Flight 5490 was headed to Charleston, South Carolina, while Flight 4522 was headed to JFK in New York. Blue Streak 5490, we did hit the aircraft next to us, the pilot said, he asked the tower for air traffic control audio captured by the website liveatc.net. Blue Streak is the call sign for PSA Airlines, which operated the flight for American. The other plane was operated by Republic Airways. We think we might have hit 175 short of the runway 19, the pilot says. We just heard a loud boom and a thunk before we took the runway. The winglet, which is a type of aerodynamic wingtip, was reported to have broken off. We could see a piece of the winglet on the ground behind the right wing of the Embraer. The control tower was told by the pilot. Insane Representative Josh Gottheimer, who was on one of the planes, told CNN, sitting there on the runway, and another plane hit our wing. The aviation fed embedder comes as the airport is coping with a series of recent incidents, including a mid-air collision in January that 67 people deceased, and a military flyover last month that came dangerously close. So nobody was hurt on that one, guys. 1 second. Yeah. I know, I just don't want to play it, because if I do, I'll probably get bananaed for it. And it would be wrong. You already took your anxiety meds? I mean, if you guys want to look at it, you can. I mean, it feels wrong to me to play it, I'm not sure. But let's go to something a little bit more funny. I bet it does. Let's end this on a positive note. No, we don't have court tomorrow. That would totally be me. That would not. That would be me.
Oh my God!
He stepped into the pool drain and it broke. That's what happened. Do you? Well, hold on, pause. You work for them? What are your thoughts on all the recent incidents? Is it really happening more, or are we just hearing about it more? It would have played out better in my mind, too.
Okay.
The Joe Biden dance. Very catchy.
Did you see that? I felt that. My spirit felt that. Did you feel that? I don't know if you guys can see what it was. It's a huge, huge branch from a tree, and it went and between and ow. It owls. Those are two men that are probably divorced now.
She saves the phone.
Okay, here. You want a story time? When I was in junior high, I played on the softball team. I was riding over to my coach's house. My grandpa was driving past in his car. I was on my bicycle. I turned around. I was so excited to see him. So I just started waving. I'm like, hi, Grandpa. And then all of a sudden, I go flying. See, when I was turned to look at my grandpa, I wasn't watching in front of me. I hit a parked car with my bike. I went over the handlebars onto the back of their car, and I was bruised everywhere. That's going to stay here in this room, all 39 of us. No one's ever going to hear about that, right? I was black and blue. Cashews?
This horse's hunger just took over its brain. When the game gets serious,
I knew that was going to happen. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Hold it at an angle. There you go.
At an angle.
Divorced.
the monkey mistook her for a banana.
She was all yellow.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Wait.
I mean, we already saw that one. Thank you. He saved his phone. All right, was that not the phone? No, he didn't save the phone.
Is she okay?
Oh my god, what do I do?
With friends like that, who needs enemies? Damn. You turned it off!
What do I do with it?
The snow is the perfect for new memes.
You dumbass. Oh, look at him.
Run.
I don't understand what he. I couldn't. It's a little green snake. You couldn't see it, but I think it's the one that they put on your back and it follows you, but it's attached to you, so you don't know it.
Oh, gravity wins again.
You idiot. Hi.
beauty products attack.
That was a good distance. Good. 3, 2, 1. Oh!
Don't drop it like it's hot.
Oh, Jesus! Go slow! What are you doing?
The dog tried to warn her.
Ready for impact.
Like forensic death, who needs enemies again?
Yeah, just stick your hand in the water, stick it deep.
I'm not gonna laugh at her because she did something I can't do. Baby.
Well, there goes his future soccer team.
Say hi, aunties.
Look.
Okay, you wanna come up here? You can use mama. You can go up.
Baby, that sand trap stopped me right in my tracks.
Good thing that was only the drink cart.
She's still here. It's just Bambi. I did that. Remember that story I told you guys last week about how never to put one foot in the sand and one on the green if you're golfing? Not that I know how to golf, but that's what I did. And I wiped out my suit leg because I was in the suit. My leg was just effed up bad. Yeah, baby.
Middle.
Oh, dangerous sport.
Right?
I almost got you. Well.
Whoa, that's some serious potassium power.
What's the matter, honey?
Yes, y'all.
You idiot.
Cool entrance at your wedding reception.
Is it too late for annulment? You idiot. They're crazy, Mom.
Oh no.
That would totally be me. Whee! What goes up? These people are nuts, Mila. I don't know. They're crazy. I know.
Blocked by nature's security guard.
They shouldn't have done that.
Not the different ones.
Oops. Looks like someone took the wrong seat.
If you thought that was gonna hold your ass, then you just deserve to fall.
No, más para atrás, espérate. Dale ahí. Ahí.
That's not how you use a saw, buddy.
It's okay, baby. It's okay.
Directly to the Haven Gate.
He don't have that girlfriend no more. Half the sky blue, other half black. It's okay. It's okay, you're fine. You got this, Parker. You're scared, huh? Do you want us to pray for you? You want to pray for Parker? Huh? You gonna pray for Parker? Okay, let's pray for Parker. Say, dear Jesus, please protect Parker on their flight and keep them safe and their loved ones. Yeah, safe flight, safe travels, no difficulties. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Say amen. Good girl. You'll be fine. I have a good feeling. Trust me. You'll be okay. If you think about it, with all the stuff that's happened today, everyone is going to be watched closely and everyone's going to be paying attention. So, I mean, if there was any day to fly, I would pick that because everyone's paying attention to what's happening in the skies. They'll be extra diligent. But you're still going to message me when you land, right? Because you know I'm a worrier. What are you trying to do, baby? Honey, what are you trying to do? Okay, ready to continue? Are you boarding now? All right, let's finish a couple more of these. Then I gotta go take my insulin.
Smoothie fail level. Expert.
Yeah, 这个西瓜很有皮球。Run.
Mila, you just scared me the Jesus out of me. She went behind the monitor and came out this side.
Well, that's what you get for being too curious.
Put your butt there, honey. What is happening here, sir? You should just let the cat out of the room. Keep your hands, arms, digits, phones inside the airplane, sir.
This is me after a wild night at the bar. Come on, man. Okay, I see you chilling. When they think it's real life. The mic wanted its own solo.
I can't even look at that. Even though I know it's mud, I'm not looking.
Do you really think he's okay? Wow, the sea sends a surprise love message.
Hey, baby. You want to go cuddle? Okay.
The new trainer in this profession still lacks experience.
No, baby. I want to get a baby pig.
Oh, wow!
Why do you have a chicken up it? Is that a chicken?
When you're hungry but still have to save face.
Okay, we're gonna have to stop there because that's just blasphemy. You don't do that. You don't just put food at risk like that. All right, guys. Yeah, I'll be back sometime tomorrow. We'll come live. We'll find something to talk about. We always do. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we'll figure it out. But we don't have court tomorrow. We don't have court again until Monday. So on Monday, Monday and Tuesday, we'll be starting at noon Central Time. And don't worry, after the live, it'll take me a little bit, but I'll download this live that we're on right now, and then go over to YouTube and upload it over there. So just give me a little bit, guys. Have a great night, guys. I love you guys too. Stay safe out there, and I will see you mañana. Bye, guys. Good night. Absolutely. Stay safe.